Hello everyone, welcome to Cineplexion Reflection presented by Makunema Productions. I'm Kyle Licht.
And I'm Matthew Turner.
And in this show, we go to the movies or watch new releases and talk about our thoughts on them and analyze them. In the first segment, Reflection, we went and saw The Grudge. So, for the first podcast of the year, this is going to be the first movie of the year that... Well, it's the first movie I've seen of 2020. What about you?
Like new, old, or whatever.
Like, first 2020 movie.
Yeah, that was the first.
As this is in the title, I would like to say that The Grudge is the best movie of 2020.
Yes.
Simply because of the fact that it's the only movie I've seen in 2020.
Yeah.
And whatever I will see right after that will trump as the better movie of the year.
I'd agree.
Unless you've seen Doolittle or something like that.
Oh.
Maybe those are competing.
I need to see it.
But, before we talk about The Grudge, January is typically the...
Dump-off season.
The dump-off, yeah. Like, could you describe that a bit?
When a studio doesn't have genuine confidence in the movie, they dump it in January just to try to get some easy money from people like home for winter break and whatnot.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get some genuinely good movies out of it. Like Split, I believe, was a January release, and so was Get Out. So a lot of people thought they would be terrible. Glass was also a January release, but depending on who you ask, it's a terrible movie. I think it's great.
Yeah, I don't know of anything else that came out in January this year that would be good. Everything that I just looked at, the ratings were 6 or lower. Let's get right into it.
Okay.
So, I just want to preface, I have not seen a single Grudge movie.
Same.
And I didn't even know there was a new Grudge that came out. We were between seeing Little Women,
Cats,
The Grudge, or I think Bombshell.
Yes. Bombshell was too late. Yeah. Cats, they didn't have any more showings, and Little Women was sold out. So we saw The Grudge, which I was actually excited for.
Yeah.
Because I thought with the cast it would have been really good.
Yeah, I'm like, ooh, a horror movie. Sounds cool.
Yeah.
Who's in the cast? It was
John Cho, Jackie Weaver, Lynn Shay, and whenever Lynn Shay's in anything, she's really good for the most part. Like, she was in the Insidious movies.
Bruno the dog played Frank the dog.
Yeah.
But Duke also played Frank the dog.
Yeah. Demian Bashir, I just probably butchered his name. He's an Oscar-nominated actor who was most recently in Hateful Eight, so I was excited for that. And Andrea Riseborough is the main character.
Yes. Which I don't know why she's listed 5th on here.
IMDb is weird.
IMDb is weird. Fair to mention, the movie obviously came out in 2020, directed by Nicholas Pesce.
I think this is his first feature film.
I think it is also. Actually, I was looking into I think he did a couple of random horror movies. Maybe they're just shorts, actually. Oh, it looks like he wrote...
I heard Piercing. I heard Piercing was good.
Piercing and Eyes of My Mother, which I think are both features, but I don't think they got very high ratings.
I don't think so.
But, yeah, so anyway, the basic plot of The Grudge is this woman takes The Grudge back to America from Japan.
Yes.
And curses a house.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone who steps foot in the house is followed by The Grudge.
And the movie also takes place 2004, 2005, 2006.
Yes.
And the original American Grudge came out 2004, and the second one came out 2006. And apparently this movie actually takes place in the same universe as those movies. It's not a remake or a reboot. It's a soft sequel, but they just don't acknowledge the other characters. Unless they do. I could be wrong. I've not heard anything about it. The actual ghost in this looks less creepy than the boy from The Grudge, the 16-year-old movie.
I don't think it followed the same rules as the original movie either.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I remember reading some other complaints that basically just kind of, I don't know, didn't follow the same universe. It was... I don't really get The Grudge. I don't understand. What would you call the villain The Grudge, or what was the name?
Ju-on, right?
Oh, is it Ju-on? Yeah, Ju-on. Yeah. But I don't think this was technically Ju-on. I'll just call him Ju-on for now.
Yeah.
So, Ju-on basically can do anything it wants. It can be anywhere. It can look like anyone. Mm-hmm. It can haunt you in any place that you are, whether you're at home or in the house. But it seems like the rule is once you step foot in the house, you're automatically cursed by it.
Yeah. Well, it takes time. It takes its time, which I thought was weird.
Yeah.
Like, John Cho stays in the house for like a whole night.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't do anything for the most part.
Right.
I don't know. This movie wasn't good enough for me to think about the logistics behind it.
Yeah, and well, actually, let's talk logistics.
Oh boy.
One thing that really irked me is that if anyone steps foot in the house, they get cursed. But there were several murders in that house because of the Grudge. So what happens when I know the one police officer, he was very adamant about never stepping foot in the house.
Yes.
He never got cursed. One police officer did. He stepped foot. He was cursed the whole time. And then the main character does the same as well.
Yes.
But every time there was a murder, weren't there forensics, EMTs, firefighters, probably other people who went in the house to investigate?
Yep.
What happened to them? it's like the whole town didn't ignore it.
That.
Right. So it just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
It was kind of a gaping plot hole.
John Cho tried really hard.
I like John Cho.
He's a great actor. I'd watch anything with him, and that's why I thought this movie was going to be good, because he was in the movie Searching last year, which apparently he's incredible, and it's a great movie. I haven't seen it yet, but for him to start doing more horror movies, like going from Harold and Kumar to Star Trek to doing horror movies, seems to be like the trend for like comedy people now. Like I know Chris Rock is doing the next Saw movie.
Yeah, I think Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele, most notably, he won an Oscar for Get Out.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, he's finally going to be taken seriously, but I don't think he's going to be taken seriously after this movie.
Yeah. And it sucks because his character is so... his character is just a good guy in the movie.
He's a relatable every guy. He's just a dad. He tries.
Yeah. Oh, the one thing that you mentioned, the whole time structure of the film.
Oh, yeah, it ruins its own twists.
Yes.
By jumping back and forth.
So I thought it was a really cool structure. A movie taking place 3 consecutive years. I'm like, that's really interesting. Except, like you said, it just ruins the twists. So every time you go back to the other story, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Like they show the 2006 part is them investigating the death of someone, and that's the end of the 2005 part, which is towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
It's like, you knew how they were going to get there from the beginning of the movie, and it wasn't interesting enough to keep you engaged.
And I guess just the last thing they complained about The Grudge about was just the cheap jump scares.
Oh my god, they weren't even like cheap build-ups, it was just they happened.
Yeah.
And we saw it at a pretty packed AMC, and there was this kid next to me.
That was your first AMC, wasn't it?
That was my first AMC experience.
I'm sorry.
We'll wait for a good one next time. I had an 8-year-old sitting next to me. Brought his own box of tissues. He's snotting all over the place. So I'm already like, oh, I'm glad I left Regal for this. So the movie starts. Decent jump scare at the beginning. He jumps.
Oh.
Rest of the movie, he doesn't move a muscle, except for when he's hacking into his elbow 2 inches away from my face, which honestly made me jump more than the actual movie.
You're afraid you're going to get bloody nose.
Yeah, I was scared. He's hacking, wheezing, snotting. That was more gruesome than anything in the movie. I'm being serious. Any of the scares I didn't care about. I have one good thing to say about The Grudge, though.
Yeah, I have 2 things.
You have 2 things?
Yeah.
You go first.
Well, the one you mentioned, the opening scene, essentially the lady walks outside of her house, and there's like a pile of garbage bags.
Yeah.
And one of the bags starts moving inside. That I was like, oh, that's kind of creepy, actually.
Yeah.
Then they ruined it right after, though.
They ruined it by having a random person behind her.
Yeah, and then like
and that was the big scare.
Yeah.
But it was good build up for nothing.
It's like someone being in a plastic bag. That's creepy. That's really, really
it's
creepy.
suffocation. It's a real fear. It's like drowning.
Yeah.
Put it in a movie and you're automatically like, ugh.
Great segue. That was my other part.
Oh, I forgot about what you're about to say.
Yeah, right at the end of the movie, the little girl... Was it a boy? It was a girl.
It was a girl.
It was a girl. The little girl, I guess, that was haunting most of the movie. The way she died was, I believe, her mother.
Yeah.
Right?
It was like drowning her.
Yeah.
In the bathtub, but she's like pushing her head down.
Yeah.
And you see her chin and like mouth slam into the bathtub like through water, so it's like slow, but you can just hear the sound. That made me wince.
Like
I'll give the movie respect.
Cracking.
I'll give it respect because that caught me off guard.
Yeah, that was the one like wincing scene I got from that movie.
My one good thing to say about The Grudge: a 1 out of 10 is better than a 0 out of 10. That's the one positive thing I'll say about The Grudge.
What
it wasn't a 0. Honestly, probably the 2 good things you just talked about.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't... I wouldn't consider it, like... It wasn't a complete piece of trash.
No.
It was just bland.
Yeah, because the production value was fine.
It was fine. The cast alone made it worth seeing,
yeah, the cast
was
good. I mean, there were a couple nice shots and stuff, but like...
They had female lead in a horror movie.
Yeah, that's
and
always
a talented actress, so they tried.
Yeah.
I think. I'd like to think they tried.
Yeah. But I think... Okay, now, I'm sorry, I keep rambling about this movie.
Shoot.
The last thing I want to say, the ending.
Oh my god, the most predictable thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, so first
And
of
it
all...
breaks the rules.
Yes.
Yes.
So first of all, it's the whole house thing. You step in the house, you get cursed, right?
Mm.
So, who can guess what the solution is? Burn down the house.
Rational.
But I love, she just goes in and does it. She's burning down the house, right? And her kid walks in, because he was in the car waiting. And, it was a little bit of a smart moment, I guess, for the mom. Where the boys, like she said something about being afraid.
Close your eyes for 5 seconds.
Yeah, close your eyes and count to 5, and you won't be afraid anymore.
Yes.
But they've been saying that throughout the whole movie. The little boy, who is the Grudge, doesn't know what to say because he's not the actual little boy. So the mother knows it's not him. Kills the little boy.
But then you find out later that the little boy just forgot what his mom told him, and she killed her kid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But after she burns down the house, you're supposed to think it's all right, but we all know it's not all right. And if that ended like that, I think I would hate it more. Honestly.
Oh, a happy ending?
Yeah.
That would have been cheap. That would have been so cheap. But the thing is, the movie, it has her hugging her son saying goodbye to school. And then you see the real son in the background.
Yeah.
And that does like the ugly face and you hear her screaming. And then it cuts outside the house.
Yeah.
Doesn't give you a second. Starts playing music and the credits roll.
Yeah.
So this movie, which if you're a fan of The Grudge, you've probably been waiting for a new Grudge movie. it's there's no resolution, so it's really not worth getting hyped over.
Yeah.
Unless they're teasing another sequel, which isn't going to happen because this one, I think is at like a 17% right now. It got an F on Cinema Score.
Good.
Where they pull people at the movie theaters to see what they thought.
Yeah.
It got an F. Granted, Hereditary got a D+, so sometimes people are stupid.
Hereditary got a D. That's bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
But,
I don't think Midsommar did too hot either.
That sucks.
Mm.
Yeah, but with The Grudge, it's just... That's the thing with those horror movies. It ends like that. The whole movie, the character's trying to find a way to kill it, trying to find a way to be free, and then everyone just dies, and you don't know anything about this. It's not even like the fear of the unknown, because you don't know, you don't really know what Ju-on's full potential is and her powers.
Mm-hmm.
But so it could just kill whoever, and there's no way to beat it. Essentially, is what I got from that movie. You follow this main character the whole time, going through 3 years of other people's mistakes, and she still just dies.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's no resolution, and it's not even so ambiguous that it's oh, this is the fear of the unknown. You have no idea. So that's why it's scary, because even though I know you don't like It Follows, the thing about It Follows creeps me out because you really just don't know what it is. It's just following you, just walking.
Fair. And at least that movie had one good scare.
Yeah, or The Thing is a perfect example.
Yeah,
I mean you have no idea what can happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Speaking of The Grudge,
yeah,
I want you to guess how much money it's made.
How much did it cost?
I'll tell you, $10 million.
It cost $10 million?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did it make $8 million?
No.
Higher?
Yep.
No, did
So far, yes, it has.
It made a profit then?
It tripled its budget.
$30 million?
36.2. Which means they could make a sequel if they wanted to.
Oh no, this is a successful movie?
Yeah.
Oh,
Blade Runner 2049 was a box office bomb, but The Grudge tripled its budget. Here's the thing. They say triple your budget for advertising. I know for a fact The Grudge did not have enough advertising.
I didn't know it even came out.
Yes. If anything, they probably put $10 million into advertising.
Oh, damn it.
Yep. I think I have one trailer before it came out. And Sam Raimi produces this movie.
Yeah, Sam
I want to
Raimi
point that out
produces
because I
this.
forgot and I just remembered and it made me really pissed off.
When I saw his name at the end,
Mm-hmm.
I was so disappointed.
Well, that was one of the biggest draws. I saw the trailer. It's got the poster, the hand coming out of the head.
Yeah.
Again, creepier in the original than this one. Creepier in Scary Movie 4 when they do a parody of it. But I see from producer Sam Raimi, and I'm like, all right, you got me. And then I see John Cho, and I'm like, it's a hit. It's gonna be a hit. This movie's gonna be the next Evil Dead 2013. It's gonna go all out.
Evil Dead remake.
It's better than the original, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's my second favorite in the franchise. I adore it.
Evil Dead 2?
Yes. But The Grudge should have been that kind of movie. Also, Kyle, you didn't know this movie was rated R until afterwards when I told you.
Yeah.
It's not.
You told me during the movie.
Yes, because a lot of people were excited for... Like, if you've seen any advertising for this, they point out that the movie's rated R. Like, when Fandango posted the trailer, like, the R-rated Grudge movie.
Yeah.
This movie's not bad.
I feel like
there's one blood spurt, and that's it.
Like a little bit of blood.
It's not even much.
But it's not really... I wouldn't say it's that gory.
No. Not at all. I've seen PG-13 movies that put me on edge more than this.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know.
That's unfortunate. Well...
Like, Happy Death Day to You has more gore than this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. A woman jumps into a wood chipper.
Oh, yeah.
And they show it, and it's more than The Grudge.
Yeah,
so, if you're looking for a gory horror movie, this ain't it, Chief.
So, we're starting off the year disappointing. So,
yeah.
Here's the first one. Then, the next segment we'll be talking about is Dissection. Now we are at the dissection part of the podcast where Matt Turner and I assign movies for each other to watch, and then we talk about them. Then again, I'm Kyle Licht.
I'm Matthew Turner.
And we have our special guest,
Melanie Higgins.
And she'll be joining us today talking about Parasite and Honeyland. So, for this week, Matt and I decided to choose Best International Film nominees.
For 2020 Oscars, yes.
For the 2020 Oscars. And up until the Oscars, we'll be doing different Oscar-themed weeks. So for international, you assigned me Parasite to watch?
Yes, and you assigned me Honeyland.
Yes. Alright. Since we watched Parasite first, let's get into it.
Alrighty.
So just to let everyone know, this section will include spoilers for both Parasite and Honeyland. Alright, take it away, Matt.
So, I've been wanting Kyle to watch Parasite for a while now because, in my opinion, it's the best movie of 2019. And watching it with him was my fourth viewing of the movie, and nothing has changed. So, I'd like to hear you talk about it more first.
Sure.
Because I can't gush about this movie enough.
So I was very excited to see Parasite. It's just, what was it, nominated for 6 Oscars?
6 Oscars, including Best Picture, along with Best Foreign Film.
Best Foreign Film. And it might be the first film to win both those positions, or categories.
Which, Kyle, you can say on record, I predicted months ago.
You did?
Before I even saw Parasite.
Yeah.
Only because it won the Palme d'Or unanimously, which never happens.
Right.
That's a huge deal.
Oh, yeah. So Parasite, I've been anticipating this one for a while. Well, ever since Matt told me a few months ago, and I purposefully made sure not to look up anything about the movie. All I knew was that it was South Korean.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt told me it's better if you just don't know anything about it before watching it. So, I knew not a single thing before watching Parasite, and I'm very glad because that movie, I had no idea what to expect at all.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me thought it was a horror movie just from the title alone.
And the director also did The Host, which is one of the biggest South Korean movies.
I've always wanted to see that, actually. But, so Parasite, I don't even know where to begin with Parasite. It's just, that's a roller coaster of a movie.
Mm-hmm. So, Parasite 2019 was directed by Bong Joon-ho, who is one of the biggest foreign film directors today with... Actually, I found out every movie he's made is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. There's not a single one. Even Okja, which I don't love, but it's unique. And Snowpiercer, that's like a huge cult classic already. And The Host. And I believe it's Memories of Murder.
I love Snowpiercer.
I need to see it.
It's really good.
It's good. He's good at satire, from what I hear, and what I've seen in Parasite. So, it's about this family, lower-class family, more or less just taking on the role of an upper-class family just through occupying the household occupations.
Yeah.
Like tutor, house lady, driver, art tutor.
Yeah, art tutor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was just very creative the way they did it.
Yes.
Because it starts off with the son being recommended by a friend who was also in love with the girl who was tutoring.
Yes. Despite the fact that she's in high school.
That she's a minor.
Yes.
So he goes over to tutor for her, then realizes he could swing his sister in, and it's all completely by subterfuge.
Yeah.
So they trick the rich family into thinking that none of them know each other, and essentially recommend or sabotage the current people working in the house just to get their family hired.
Yeah.
One of the funniest ways they do that is they found that the house lady is allergic to peaches.
Yeah.
So they have this whole ruse where they scrape peach fuzz basically into a jar and flick it on her at like the most opportune time. Meanwhile, telling the mother that she has tuberculosis and she's sick or something.
Yeah, and then after he says that, like, they coordinate it so the daughter flicks peach fuzz onto her and she coughs into a napkin.
Yeah.
And what I stand by is probably the funniest thing I've seen of last year, up there with the ending of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where the father squirts hot sauce onto the napkin to make it look like she's hacking up blood.
Yeah.
It's so perfectly staged. I'll never get over it. Even when I watch it with Kyle, I was still dying laughing.
Absolutely.
And it makes you feel smart.
The family was so gullible the whole time, like the upper class family.
Oh, yeah.
Really just fell into everything.
Right.
Like, even Kevin, they call him Kevin because he's an English tutor. Yes. His friend straight up says at the beginning, she's simple.
Yeah.
The whole family's simple because they're naive and because they don't care.
Yeah.
About anything.
Right. And the fact that they're so gullible made me think, oh, are they in on this? Are they going to, like, turn around and, like, trick them the whole time? Or, like, what's, like, I'm just waiting for this big twist, which the big twist wasn't that.
Nope.
Melanie, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, before we go too far ahead, how do you think they depict, like, how well do you think they depicted upper class versus, like, lower class issues? Because I think that was, like, a really deeper meaning within the movie, like, the whole way through.
That's something I wanted to talk about.
That was wonderful because, like, even Bong Joon-ho said, like, the movie, like, the topic is universal. It's, like, capitalism sucks, and it's, like, upper class shitting on the lower class.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever the lower class do get in a position of power in this movie, they're immediately paranoid. And they immediately turn into savages.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, again, a lot of people are missing the point of this movie. Like, Elon Musk said it was his favorite movie of last year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact he's a multi-billionaire.
Right.
Barack Obama said it was one of the best movies of last year. I remember a lot of people calling him out on Twitter for that.
Mm.
But, I don't know. Overall, it's enjoyable enough. Like,
right. And I just noticed that, like, the upper class family, and this happens a lot in movies, is just, they're always so oblivious to everything that happens to the lower class.
Yes.
I mean, there was a part in the movie when it rained, and the lower class was literally, their family was in shambles, their house was gone, a bunch of the houses surrounding the lower class families, they were all, like, completely, like, destroyed. And the upper class was like, oh, this was great for the grass. I mean, we're going to have a party. The grass looks great.
Mm-hmm.
God bless the rain.
Right.
So I guess it was different takes on, like, certain things.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a really good example.
And even, I think one of the best ones was how they treat the youngest son. Like, he's an art prodigy.
Yeah.
And he has a fascination with Native Americans. The whole movie. And they just encourage it. Like, he's running around making wailing sounds.
There's the teepee in the backyard.
His teepee in the backyard, shoot a bow and arrow around the house.
Yeah, the hatchet and all that.
They got a tomahawk.
Yeah.
And I think the moment that pissed me off the most when I first saw it, in a good way, was when they're setting up for the party. She's arranging the tables, and the dad just comes out and said, "Shh, he's sleeping."
Oh, yeah.
Like, don't set up the table so loud for his own birthday party because he's sleeping in the middle of the day.
Oh, it's just ridiculous.
Like, God, the entire world revolves around the sun. I mean, they're trying hard. They bring in tutors and mentors and all this for this kid, acting like he's like the end-all be-all.
He's kind of a simpleton. Yeah. He's kind of a simpleton.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, but he's a little kid.
Yeah.
But also the small little things like the father of the upper class family not liking the smell of, and that was like a theme that played kind of throughout the whole movie.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The smell, that was like a big symbol.
Which led to his demise.
And they were literally covered in shit.
Yeah.
Like their house was literally filled with shit at the end.
Yeah, it was. It was.
What?
Well, with the sewage.
Oh,
Sewage
oh.
water, and then spraying out of the toilet.
Yeah.
Right.
And with the smell, I mean, in the beginning, that was a big part when the pesticides came in.
Yes. And the father doesn't react. He's the only one that doesn't blink at it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, I think that is fascinating, the whole smell thing, because at one point they're talking and the father goes, so that's when they're laying under the table, the mother and the father are laying on the couch.
Yes.
And they say, oh yeah, I like the driver, he's great and all. He's really persistent, he doesn't cross the line.
He gets close, though.
He gets close because he just smells, like, off, like he said. He's like, it's just the smell I can't put my finger on.
Yeah.
And he's like, and that crosses the line a little bit.
I think that obviously crosses the line, but also the father, the one they're talking about that smells bad, he also sometimes gets really personal when he talks to them. Like, he kind of, like, asks them really personal questions that isn't really any of his business. Like, oh, you love your wife, right? And then the other guy the other father was like, well, sure.
Yeah.
Which was also kind of sketchy.
That was weird.
Yeah.
But the thing about the smell that I liked is he said, like, he kind of saw through, like, the facade that he was putting on as, like, this rich driver. And, like, he still, like, unconsciously knew that he was poor, but he just didn't, like, consciously realize it.
Yeah.
You know,
And it just goes to show that, like, even though they're all pretending to be upper class, the rich can still kind of see through it. They just don't realize it. So it's like, it makes the poor feel even worse that they realize even if they seem rich, they're still going to be poor because that's who they are.
Yeah.
I don't think the father was the first person to note on their smell either. I'm pretty sure, didn't the kid go up and be like,
But he said they smell the same.
Yeah, they all smell the same, but I don't think he meant that in a good way either.
Well, he meant that just because he knew because their clothes smell the same.
Yeah.
Because the basement
Yes, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. It was a small little thing.
Yeah.
Do you think that made the parents catch on, though? Like, when the son said something, they didn't take it to heart at the first, but maybe after a while they kind of noticed.
I think it was honestly just more for the lower class family. Because then they became paranoid, like having to do different loads of laundry.
Right. Which I don't think they ever did. I don't know if they have the money to do different loads of laundry.
I mean, with the movie they have, yeah, like.
I mean, eventually yeah. But that was good.
Yes. Let's see. Was there anything else we want to talk about Parasite before we move on?
What do you mean? Like the movie overall?
Or just, before we move on to Honeyland.
I feel like there was more.
There's way more.
Actually, yeah. There are some. Oh, how about, since the topic of this week is international films, which, by the way, I do want to say, I like that they changed the name from foreign film to international film for the Oscars.
Yes.
It's a small thing, but foreign kind of has if you don't know why, foreign has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
If something's foreign, it's perceived as either, like, unknown or strange or just kind of, I don't know, like...
Different.
Yeah, just different in a bad way.
I know you can't call them foreign films, but can you call them foreign language films? Like, films in a foreign language?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's, like, an issue of saying it in general, but I think it's just better that they change it to international.
International, there's nothing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just for the sake of the category name. It just makes it more welcoming and less of...
Oh, right, because foreign would indicate that America's, like, the central, like, unit.
Which it is of the Academy.
For the
Academy,
Oscars.
that makes sense. But also, that can make other, like, places feel a little bit inferior.
Right. And with the changing the title, I think that's really important for the stigma. I feel like a lot of people, for example, my family, they might not want to watch foreign films because it's one, foreign, two, subtitles.
Yeah, subtitles are
That was
a big
my
thing.
mom. My mom did not want to watch the movie.
Yeah.
And it was her favorite movie last year.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's, Bong Joon-ho said it at the Golden Globes. He said, once you get over the 1-inch subtitle barrier, your whole mind opens up to, like, I'm absolutely paraphrasing this. I don't
finally watch some good movies.
You can finally watch some good movies, yeah.
And then they announced the next day that they were working on an HBO remake of Parasite,
Gross.
which I don't know where that's going.
Yeah.
And Bong Joon-ho has talked about it, so if he's fine with it,
Mm-hmm.
That's all that matters, I guess.
A lot of people are oppressed about it because they're like, just like accept it for what it is. Like,
Yeah.
stop
It doesn't need
trying to
any more.
remake it. But also, he might be getting like paid good for it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And if he's producing it, he'll have some say in what's in it.
Yeah. But, like I said, given that this is an international film, how does it being international, like, play a role, I guess? Or how's it different for you, like, watching the movie?
The comedy's different. Because this movie is absolutely a, like, pitch black dramedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not raunchy. It's just, it reminded me of, like, 30s comedy. Just, like, the dialogue, bit of slapstick,
Very
like, shenanigans. Very witty.
Yeah.
While that doesn't happen much with American comedies. It's always, like, gross out. Like, even Game Night,
Yeah.
one of my favorite comedies of the decade. Very dialogue-driven. Still has the occasional raunch joke.
Mm-hmm.
Dick jokes, like every comedy.
What about My Man Godfrey?
Yeah. Oh, no.
I think that's...
Oh, I love
pretty
My Man Godfrey.
It's a pretty good comparison.
It's a good comparison.
'Cause
It's
about
like
the rich
screwball
and poor.
comedy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a battle of the classes. Which, and again, you don't get to see that much in American movies because capitalism.
Right.
There's a lot of cultural differences too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In some ways.
I don't know much about South Korea, but it is different seeing a different kind of culture.
Yeah.
Which is actually, that's a good point to bring up because the rich family seemed very westernized.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this quote. At one point, they said, "Oh, is that tent gonna hold up outside in the rain?" He's like, "Oh, it's American. It'll be fine."
Yeah. Bought it from the U.S.
Yeah, I bought it from the
Same
US.
with the all the Native American stuff. She bought her something.
Right, and Native
It's
American.
from American. It's from America.
Back to the Western culture again.
Yeah.
It seemed like a Western, like that house seemed like it could be a rich house, like in, I don't know, California or something.
Oh,
Not
absolutely.
California, but...
And that's what I liked about the slums in this movie. Because whenever you see poor people in a movie,
Mm-hmm.
it's usually like inner city ghetto or deep in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But this is actually like, remind me of like favelas in like Mexico.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
very just slums bunched together
Mm-hmm.
towards the bottom.
They're like living literally in a basement.
Yeah, they
With-
get fumigated.
Yeah, they get fumigated. Their whole
Yeah.
window is like the street, basically.
Yes.
On street level. And there's frequently a drunk man, pissing in front of their house.
Yes.
But...
Where they live, the lower class family, where they live in the slums and whatnot, or what would typically be considered the slums, of course, it's different from what you would expect here too.
Yes.
I don't know if did you just bring that up?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's like, because in American movies, it's either ghettos or the inner country.
Yeah, I mean,
For when you're showing poor people.
it's also very it's a very closed off space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
So the rich don't have to look at them.
yeah, I mean, in
Right.
America, it's very open. I mean, like, you could have, like, a rich family, like, in one part of the town, and then literally the other half of the town could be, like, gang-filled and poor and
Yeah.
a bunch of other things.
But there's still some diffusion. But like in Parasite, there's no way they would see the upper class family in any situation.
Yeah.
Which is something they didn't have to worry about.
Yeah, I think Korea... I don't really know much about Korean, like, how they set things up or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's something we'd have to, like, look into.
Yeah. Well, so is there any other way that you guys thought that this being an international film changed the way you saw the movie?
I think it was. Well, I mean, I think the cast and crew made the movie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say so much like the location and setting of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously the American influences played into it well,
Mm-hmm.
but like Bong Joon-ho, I can't see anybody else directing it. I couldn't see anybody else in this cast. Like the dad in the lower class of this movie deserved an Oscar nomination,
Oh, yeah.
and he's always in Bong Joon-ho's movies. Like I don't know, even when Bong Joon-ho makes American movies, they don't just seem as effective from what I hear. Like especially, I didn't like Okja. A lot of people liked it, but like this cast and crew could not have been any better.
Mm-hmm.
Also, going back slightly, I know you talked about how the comedy was different. I almost feel as though the small gore part that was sort of different too.
Yeah,
It was very blatant.
Yeah.
Like, there was no
Yeah.
kind of holding back. They
there's
just-
no glorification.
No.
Yeah.
It was just in your face and wince-inducing.
This is what it is.
Yeah, except
Oh, yeah.
for obviously the humorous violence, like
Yeah.
when getting
Yeah.
kicked down the stairs,
Yeah.
head into a wall.
Yeah.
And it's almost disturbing in a way. Like the,
Very
Oh yeah,
disturbing.
it's very
especially the scene where the guy is peeking up from the basement and you can see just his eyes. Like that got me.
Yes. Yes.
Or Kevin getting nailed with a rock.
Oh,
In most
I don't-
American movies, it would cut away.
I mean,
Yeah.
he did kind of cut it.
Like,
They
yeah.
did kind of cut it, but
Well, no, when he throws it at his head, nothing changes. Like you just see him get
Yeah.
nailed with it, and he twitches,
Yeah.
and then he walks away. And there's
oh,
a
the
pool of blood.
second time, yeah.
Yeah, the first time they don't show, but they show him actually drop it on his head.
yeah, they're like, yeah.
Which surprised me.
Yeah,
the
that
first time I
was
saw
rough.
it.
That was very
Because
rough.
again, in American movies, you'd either just hear the sound or it'd cut to the next scene.
Yeah.
Right before it hits his head. But you see his whole body like shake because of it. And it's very visceral.
Yeah, that one got me.
Which it surprised me that he survived, but then the sister didn't.
Mm-hmm.
She got stabbed right in the heart, though, didn't she?
Yeah. She ended up bleeding out, but
She also survived longer than the dad of the upper class, who gets stabbed in the exact same area.
right.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Oh, that whole it's just that twist where it just turns into violence is just that was insane.
Oh,
Kind of
yeah.
satisfying in a way that
Yeah.
like the upper class structure was being like just totally destroyed.
Yeah.
Except it was just so gruesome and so I mean, good people died.
Yeah. That scene where the guy's walking into a kid's birthday party with a knife, I got chills
Oh my gosh!
the first
and
time I saw it. It made me so
nobody
uncomfortable.
noticed.
Yeah.
Ugh. So, what do you guys think about the both the poor family and the rich family humanizing the bad things that they've done? For example, like the poor family, they obviously they have good intentions for the most. Well, I mean, they're just trying to live basically.
Yeah, but they rationalize everything they do. Like, when Kevin forges his college letters, he's like, it's okay because I'm going to try next year.
Mm-hmm.
And parents don't mind.
I missed that actually.
Yeah.
Oh, the parents are very supportive of their daughter. They even go as far as calling her like the greatest con artist. Like she's a really good con artist.
Mm-hmm. But did you feel like they were like wrong in any way, the poor family? For one, for like basically like lying to the family, they sabotaged by making the driver get fired, and the housekeeper they basically poisoned her.
I think it started to get what the son did make sense, and then him bringing the sister in made sense, but with the bringing the parents in and the sabotage it became a little too much, and they went a little too far.
Yeah.
Because they were literally sabotaging other people. Like, we don't hear anything from the other driver, the driver previous to the other dad. But who knows what happened to him? Like, he could be on the streets in the same situation as them. You would think they have some sort of understanding of that, but...
And I don't know how justified his sabotage was, because he was being like kind of creepy, like he was trying to take her home basically.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like he wasn't blatantly trying to like rape her or anything.
No.
I think what got me was them like literally using the maid's allergies.
Yeah, against her.
Yeah. Like the peach fuzz in the back of the neck and all that, and just literally causing her to get ill.
Yeah, because she didn't really do anything wrong that we knew of before the
Yeah,
basement.
at that point.
And I mean, the family loved her too.
Yeah.
She was just caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it is. I agree with you. It is kind of weird how it. I don't know. They seem kind of wrong at points.
And it was bizarre that they weren't trying to reason with the maid when they find out her secret of having her husband in the basement. They just kind of were like willing to rat her out immediately.
Well, that's
Complete
again
competition.
because they're now in the upper class.
But
They're a part of them, so they're paranoid and they don't want anyone below them to have the luxuries that they have. That's like the big thing with the movie.
makes sense.
And they didn't really care enough to have their position risked where they would get fired and lose everything they have. Yeah.
So as soon as there's video, that's when everything changes, and then she becomes a people pleaser.
So about the
And
rich,
then the other one becomes a bitch.
Yeah.
Because now she's in power.
Mm-hmm.
I can't
It's just
remember.
a constant back and forth.
Oh yeah, and I can't remember how did the one lady find out about that secret tunnel? I know she understands that like most rich
house lady?
houses.
Because
Yeah.
she's been there since the guy that designed it lived there. So
Yeah.
she knew everything about it.
And I don't think she
missed that
never
part.
told the people who moved
Oh
in.
yeah,
She
yeah.
didn't,
She never
no.
did. She mentioned that.
Because she kept the husband there.
I just wasn't sure because I knew that she understood that most rich families had that space in case, North Korea invades or anything of that sort.
Yeah.
But
Because she said, like, the guy that owned it, like, he was ashamed that he designed it because he didn't want it to seem like he was just hiding away if anything happened, but she knew about it because of that.
Yeah.
Right. I totally missed that.
Do we know what happened with the original owner of that house?
Did he
Yeah.
just die?
He moved to Paris, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
Because
right.
he moves, and that's why she still is the housekeeper.
Right, because I remember that. I just don't remember, like, if something happened to him or if he came back.
No.
Okay. But, okay, so what about the rich family? How justified do you think they are with their ignorance and with their privilege and all that?
It's the same as you can say about any rich, like, family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even in America, it's like, are they doing anything wrong by being ignorant?
I think they literally just didn't know.
Yeah.
They've been growing up in a rich household their whole life,
Yeah.
for the most part. So they don't understand the struggles of a poor person.
Yeah.
And I guess they can't be, like, put in the wrong for that, because it's literally just a thing of ignorance. Like, they had no idea.
Yeah.
But what they could be wrong for is, I mean, they're blatantly making fun of his smell. Not knowing that he's poor exactly, but, making fun of his smell, kind of. I'm pretty sure there were some parts where they made it seem like, poor people were kind of like, gross and lesser, but in small ways.
That was the one conversation they had when it was just when they thought it was just the two of them.
Right.
Is when they talk about his smell.
Yeah.
Which that's when they talk about it. And then, like, talking about people on the subway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the subway.
Well, yeah, that's what I was. I
Yeah.
knew they talked about it directly at one point.
Yeah. That was the one scene because they thought it was just the two of them.
Yeah.
Which even then, they thought they were alone, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not like they were being malicious about it.
Yeah. So would you say the husband was a bad guy?
Bad husband, maybe.
Yeah.
Bad father, I don't know. Overall, as a person.
Because
He's a businessman, I don't know.
he didn't necessarily seem like the worst father, because he would always play with his son.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he'd always, like, do, like, the Indian game with him, or, sorry,
But then
the
his
American
daughter.
game. Yeah, he neglected his daughter.
Yeah. They both did.
Yeah.
Because their son is some kind of prodigy in their eyes. But
Yeah.
she's just, like, there.
Right.
But also okay, real quick, the mother made a comment once where she said, "Oh, my husband would kill me if he found out that I brought in a tuberculosis patient." Like, instead of, like, caring for their housekeeper in a way, they sort of made it seem like, oh, she's tuberculosis, we want nothing to do with her.
Yeah. Which I don't know about the culture of South Korea, but that might be a thing.
I know they're very, like,
Oh, wait, no, they mentioned that in the movie, didn't they? Didn't they say something about, like, wasn't TB, like, an outbreak for poor people in South Korea or something like that?
Yeah,
and that's
'cause-
specifically why.
Because the mom thought it was completely gone.
Yeah.
But then he snapped back and was like, no, it's like the fourth most populated area for
Yeah.
TB.
That's what it was, yeah. But, yeah, regarding the whole rich thing, being ignorant, it's like, it's not their fault, but at the same time, this makes me think, like, people who have, like, privilege should be educated on their privilege and how to use it to benefit others,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which, it's upsetting that they live their life completely ignorantly, hurting others unknowingly,
Yeah.
and just neglecting others when they could be helping or could just be, I don't know, not judgmental.
Yeah.
I think that movie makes a good statement about the rich being ignorant and people having privilege, not using
and
it.
abusing their privilege in a way.
Right. Or just not even realizing that they have it.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was fascinating. So, how about this? Ratings out of 10. We'll each go through. What do you think about Parasite?
Oh, we're going to do it 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. I'm just. Ooh, I'm gonna have to say 9 out of 10.
Okay. What are your reservations?
I don't know. It was something. I maybe it's just like not my kind of movie. Maybe some. I don't know.
To preface this, a few minutes before this podcast started, Melanie said, "Oh yeah, I watched Parasite," and I don't think I've ever been so offended.
I know Parasite. Parasite was.
It just wasn't as fresh on your mind as Honeyland.
Yeah, I mean, Parasite was a really good movie. I can't say it doesn't deserve anything because it deserves a lot.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, it probably just didn't fit my tastes as much.
That's fair.
In a way, I understand what you're saying. I wouldn't say the same thing, but, like, I love Parasite. I think it's perfect. I think it's a masterpiece. I don't think it's my favorite movie of the year, though.
Whoa.
I don't know what honestly, this year is very hard for favorites.
Oh yeah, no, I did my top 10.
Yeah.
And I think there was only one movie that I didn't give it like near perfect score to.
Yeah. But I'll give Parasite 10 out of 10 just because I think it's tremendous.
Yeah.
I think, you know what? I'm going to say 10 out of 10 now, not because of what you guys said. No, I'm going to keep it 9 out of 10. No, because I think now that I think about it, the deeper meanings behind it is really good. Like, the way it represents, like, the economy and, like, the upper and lower class, because that's brilliant, and I think it should be showed more, because I think it gives people, like, a taste of, like, their own privilege. It can, like, make people reflect more, which I think is phenomenal.
And it doesn't beat you over the head with it.
Yeah.
Which I love.
It's
not
subtle.
Insulting the audience.
It beats them over the head.
It beats them over the head. It beats Kevin over the head.
And that's why I love it, and I don't want to give it lower than a 9, but I don't think, in my opinion, it deserves a 10, maybe.
Say 9, then.
I'm going to say a 9.
That is a clever thing the movie does, though. It's just Kevin going, wow, metaphorical. I don't know why that gets me when he's like, wow, this rock is so metaphorical. Yeah. It's basically a catchphrase for him.
Yeah.
It's hysterical.
Yeah.
I love it.
But great. So Parasite, excellent. Thank you, Matt. I've been waiting to watch that. That was an excellent choice.
I'm glad you liked it, Kyle.
So on the next part of Dissection, we're talking about the movie I chose for Matt, which is Honeyland. So I was looking through the international nominees, and this one intrigued me. It is the first movie to be nominated for Best International Film as well as Best Documentary Feature. So I think that's a pretty neat fun fact. And it's on Hulu, and we decided to watch it. I'll give you the basic facts first. The movie is directed by Tamara Gotevska and Lubomir Stefanov. Sorry if I butchered those names. I believe they're Turkish or Macedonian. Don't know. Anyway, Honeyland is a documentary. Takes place in North Macedonia. And I believe the main character is Turkish or maybe Macedonian. But anyway, she's a beekeeper who lives with her dying mother and essentially throughout the day takes care of the bees in kind of like a humane like relationship kind of way with the bees rather than like animal cruelty. And then she goes out and sells the honey to try and make a profit to live for herself as well as sustain her mother. And the whole plot of the movie involves a group of nomads coming in, just a huge family, who try and steal her bee business and kind of destroy the land in the process. So that's a rundown of the movie.
I don't know if they're necessarily trying to steal her bee business, rather than try to do what she does, realizing that she does it successfully, but they won't listen to her because they need the results sooner.
Right, yeah, they're trying to like capitalize on it basically.
Yeah, whereas she's doing it for both pleasure, like, you know, it's nice. It's
right.
A nice thing to do. She likes bees, she enjoys it, but then she also, you know, has to make some sort of income. So.
Right. That's a better way of describing it.
Yeah.
So throughout the movie, the father of the neighboring family appears to be kind of malicious and a bit kind of idiotic. Just
very they don't care much.
Yeah. And his poor actions lead, for one, he kills many of the bees. He burns down a tree, which I think housed many of the bees, or something of that nature. And he just kind of ruins everything in his time there, and kind of ruins her life a bit.
He's very impatient with everything that he does, so therefore it just comes with, like, how do I explain this? Him not actually caring and just looking to capitalize off of the bees and whatnot. It contributes to him, like, ruining the land, ruining her side of her bees, and just really making her life worse than it was.
Also hurts himself by he ends up killing 50 of his cattle.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily his fault or not, but
I mean,
sure.
He tried to blame a lot of things on everybody else.
Yeah, but he also tried to do the bee business as well as the cattle business, and I think by splitting both of these ventures, he kind of didn't dedicate enough time to either.
Right.
And both of them crashed and burned, literally. But in the end, they end up leaving because their cattle dies, the bees die, they don't see any reason to be there, and eventually her mother dies.
And she's left with nothing because they genuinely just destroyed the land and her only way of income.
Yes. So that's the basic rundown of the movie. For some talking points, just to start, since we're choosing this for the international category, how is this being international affect you guys, or even just being in a different country, for example, Macedonia?
Definitely cultural. Like, culturally, it's completely eye-opening, I want to say. I think it shows, like, a bunch of different, like, aspects of, Macedonian, how their lives are. I mean, even when she goes into town, the streets are different, the markets are different, which I think is really nice to see, from especially if you are not able to travel a lot and you don't really see that much of the world, so that's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also fascinating being a Turkish woman in Macedonia, because it's not just a movie about Macedonians, which I don't know much about Macedonians, and I don't know that much about Turkish people, but it's just kind of different having a person, like, I guess, a foreigner living in a different country, but I don't know anything about either of those countries. So
she's and also, she's completely by herself, and she even mentions multiple times that even though she had many opportunities, or so she thought, she had many opportunities to, be married, be matched up with somebody and get married and leave and lead somewhat of a better life, she somewhat chose not to, but also her father didn't let her. Was kind of discovered.
I actually don't remember that part too much. I think I missed that.
The mother mentioned, like, oh, so you should, she's like, well, if you want to have a better life, if you want things to be better for you, then go get married. And then she's like, oh, well, did the matchmaker ever come, and, like, did you ever match me up with any, did anybody ever ask for my hand? And the mother was like, well, yeah, of course. And I said, and she was like, and you said no? The mother was like, no, I said yes. And she was like, well, then who said no? And then turns out the father said no, and then she was like, great. But
now, what are your thoughts on this being international? How does that affect your viewing of it?
I mean,
did you see any similarities between, like, Western culture and the culture in this movie?
I mean, I guess, like, the kids are as rambunctious as American kids in this.
Yeah. So
I didn't think, like, the themes of this movie were, like, specific. They got into the documentary. It's just, like, beekeeping, but, more humane than is presented in America. So, I mean, that was nice.
Well, if we're talking about themes, I think the class structure is another one. Since Parasite was about rich versus poor, in this case, it may not necessarily be rich versus poor, but this woman is very poor, lives in a shack with her dying mother, barely sustains herself. She questions if she can buy hair dye at the market, and basically guilts someone into giving her a fan for her mother. Like,
although I don't know if she meant to guilt him. I think it just sort of came up in conversation, like, oh, it's for my ill mother, and then he kind of felt bad.
Yeah. But either way, she can't afford anything. Yeah. Then this family comes in. They have, 6 trucks, a bunch of cattle, a trailer, and they have all the stuff. I don't know if they're necessarily rich, but they're definitely
not rich. They're just better off than she is.
Yeah, but
they barely have enough to get by.
Yeah.
If you consider the difference between those two families, it's at one point the father was yelling several times. He was yelling like, I'm not buying anything for you. I spend all the money. They're very concerned about money.
Yep.
Yeah, which I think in most poor families, you'll even see that in America. Like, the father or the mother or the parents in general will scream that at a kid at some point. I feel, for the most part.
Right. But I mean, that family, they even had nicer clothes. They didn't seem too materialistic, but they seemed just more well off, where they could, I don't know, buy certain things, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, still just getting by, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, they had trailers and stuff, and what's her name?
Hatice?
Hatice?
I'm sorry if I butchered that, but that's how it's spelled.
Yeah. Okay. They're more well off than Hatice, but at the same time, not really.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, but I think they kind of. Do you think they treated her differently because she was poorer?
I think at first they had a really nice relationship. I mean, they were neighbors and they were getting by, and she taught them how to beekeep, and they saw that she was doing well, selling on the market pretty well. And so they tried it out, but the only problem was the father didn't care about the process or, taking care of the bees to get better results. He just wanted the results fast because he was in an agreement, like in a deal with some other guy from the market.
Right. And do you think the father, even though he was pretty much the main antagonist, do you think he could be kind of like sympathized with because he...
I mean, he was doing what he could for his family.
That, and also, do you think he was getting pressures from that guy who was trying to sell to him? Because that guy was like, look, you got to make 200 kilos.
It was 20 kilos, I think.
Or 20 kilos, or whatever. And it has to be here, on time.
The one guy he was selling to even took honeycomb from the beekeeper.
Every time.
He was like, there's enough here, it's fine, I'll take it. Even knowing, the father knows that it's not ready to be taken yet.
Yeah.
He just can't really do much about it, so I think he kind of crumbled under pressure, which in that case I could see some sympathy in that.
Yeah. Because he was the only, like, antagonizing character, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because even the main character, she was rough around the edges a bit. Like, she screamed at her mother and said some kind of mean things, but
right.
It just seemed like that was, like, the way they naturally talk to each other.
Right.
So the one thing that I kept thinking about the whole movie is how did they make this movie? Because there were different camera angles throughout the whole time. Well, first of all, the quality was incredible.
Oh, the cinematography was great.
Yeah, but it just seemed like it could have been staged or narrative. It seemed like a traditional movie where they had a close-up of a character and then like a reaction of another character. So they had to have several different camera.
I mean, it wasn't a typical documentary, so it didn't seem like a documentary at all.
Right.
There was no speaking directly to the camera.
Yeah, because the cameras are never acknowledged throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. I don't know if they hide them.
Yeah.
Or if they're just kind of blatant and they get used to it, kind of like in a reality TV show.
Right. I think that's what I think. I think they got used to it because the one trivia fact that I read was the crew was there for 3 years
yeah.
for principal photography. So that means if they had reshoots, if they had other stuff, that could have been even more time.
And it just so happened that they came into her life at the same time that everything else was happening.
Yeah.
Or at least around the same time over the course of 3 years.
And I'm guessing that probably must have happened by chance then.
Yeah. Because there was no way that they just somehow landed on this woman when everything happened. Like her mother dying and the people coming and moving in, her neighbors.
Right. So I thought it was fascinating. I wonder how much footage they got because it amazes me how the editor would have to sit down through probably like hundreds and hundreds of hours of footage and make it felt like a storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to make this storyline basically a woman living alone, going about her beekeeping, family moves in, disrupts everything, then third act, her mother dies.
Although I know this is more of a conspiracy, but sometimes in reality TV shows the TV producers are known for like sabotaging things and making kind of like, I mean, I'm going to bring in Dance Moms real quick.
Okay.
Just real quick. It's well known in Dance Moms that they'll tell the kids to say certain things just to strike up drama or tell the parents to say certain things and, it makes the show more interesting. So what if, and I'm not saying it is, but what if they staged the other family coming in?
I do wonder some of that.
And I don't necessarily believe that.
I don't think so.
I think this is a true story. It's really well done. However, for all the conspirators, what's the word?
Conspirators is a word.
Okay.
Like conspiracists.
Yeah.
It's conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, those ones.
Theorists. But, no, one thing I thought of is when people were fighting, for example, the father and the guy who was buying from him, they were arguing about the honey and the bees being dead. The camera was, like, kind of far away, and they were filming, like, from behind a truck. So I think they were, like, kind of spying to get that conversation.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of arguments that you would think you wouldn't want to have them on camera. There also could have been a language barrier.
Yeah. I think some of those... filming some of those arguments, they were kind of hiding or just in the distance.
Yeah.
And they weren't really paying attention to the cameras. But that was a good thing you mentioned that, because I was wondering if the camera crew had any involvement or if they influenced anything. Like, did they ever give her food or water? Did she ever help them? Because they don't acknowledge each other at all throughout the movie.
I mean, there are some times where she kind of got... Oh, there was towards the end, she was doing something that could have been particularly dangerous.
What was it?
I can't remember. I think when you heard like the wolves or the coyotes or whatever it was.
She was running out with the torch.
Yeah, that could have been kind of dangerous, but the camera crew kind of stuck with her.
Yeah.
Rather than staying at a distance, they were like right next to her.
Yeah, because I wonder if they stayed somewhere else or if they lived in the house with them.
I doubt they lived in the house with them. They probably lived in the city and drove up every day. There's a documentary with the refugee crisis. I can't remember it right now, but 2 guys went to a refugee camp in Lebanon, Jordan, somewhere. And they drove up from the city every night because they couldn't stay on the camp or else they were going to get robbed. So it was something like that, where they were staying close by.
Yeah, it must have been.
Alright, so I definitely didn't love this movie as much as either of you.
Yeah.
As I don't have a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
Going off the documentary thing, spoiler alert, the beekeeper's mom dies.
I already said that.
Okay, yeah. Getting into it, though.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was tastefully done at first. Because at first it's just her crying in her house. I'm like, okay, they're not pestering her. She's mourning her mom's death. But then the next shot is a camera crew feet away from her filming her mourning her mom's death.
Yeah.
Was she okay with that?
I wonder.
Because that was the one moment where I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah,
There's no way she's cool with this.
Well, I wonder if they signed an agreement in the beginning that said, like, we're going to be here all the time, just ignore us.
Well, still. Dude, okay, Kyle.
Yeah.
God forbid. Jennifer dies, right?
Yeah.
And there's a camera crew filming a movie. Are you fine with them filming you crying over the corpse of your mother?
But also...
In a weird kind of way, I wouldn't mind it as much.
I don't get it. Maybe it's just me. I
get it. I'm different, though.
It could spark sympathy for her, though, because, she's off doing her own thing with her own life, so maybe she... Not that she wants the attention or anything like that, but that, like... she's had a really bad life, and this is something that she's had to deal with, and that a lot of people don't have to deal with what she's had to deal with. So maybe it's kind of like a look at what happened, check where you are, be thankful for what you have.
I guess so. That was a moment that did not sit well with me when I was watching it, because for me, I get where you're coming from, but it felt exploitative to me.
Yeah, it seemed a little.
This is forced emotion.
Yeah.
That you're forcing the viewer to feel.
I think what really got me is when she was setting up and she was like, "Ma, do you hear the singing? Do you hear it?" She was setting up the radio outside the shack, and she was like, "Do you hear it?" And the mom literally didn't answer for I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
That really, I was like, "Oh no, that's
rough.
it. That's it."
Especially when she heard the song. It was Joe Cocker, "Life is Beautiful," I think. Or You Are So Beautiful to Me.
Yeah. That was
You only heard a minute of it, and then...
Yeah.
That was a really beautiful moment, but it was really sad. Because you knew, as a viewer, what was happening.
Yeah. Also, what was sad was, throughout the movie, there's one kid who's rebellious. He's a little shit the whole time. He's yelling at his father. His father's yelling back at him.
I don't know if I like him or if I hate him.
Me neither.
He's abusing animals.
That's the part.
That's why I can't like him. I can't like him.
He threw rocks at the cows. I think he kicked.
You had to see a cow tangled up, fucking moaning.
Dragging him. But that could have been another kid. Was it are you sure that was him?
I'm pretty sure it was the same boy, because that's the one boy they focus on.
Some of them, the 2 boys looked the same.
Yeah.
I think it was the same one, because it shows him later on the birthing scene.
Really?
Right.
And chucking a rock.
Oh, yeah.
At the
and that's
cow.
what bothered me, because I was like, I like him for the simple fact that he's rebelling against his father, because he knows that his father is abusing the bees and not taking care of them and not doing it correctly, and then his father's being a little shit the whole time. So then he's going to be a little shit back, which I sort of respect, but also respect your parents. But then, he also wasn't being so respectful to the animals. I mean, he was chucking rocks at them, dragging them.
He kicked his sister.
Oh yeah, he shoved her into a stump at one point.
Yeah.
And then the mom's like, "I'm gonna beat you."
Yeah.
And I was like,
ooh.
I don't like anyone in this movie except for the beekeeper, because she's not doing anything wrong.
That's again a cultural difference too, the way that they bring up their kids versus. I mean, we see a lot of that.
Show that though, why? I don't know.
That really demonizes that family, though.
You're trying to show the best in people with this movie. I feel like,
But also, you're
it's-
kind of demonizing that one family, because that one family
Yeah.
could go off and have their own life, and people will see this movie,
Yeah,
see
it's like-
them, and like hate them.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of people will say that. Like, I know you've probably gotten threats from your parents, like, "Oh, I'm beat the shit out of you."
Yeah.
I mean, that's very
But I don't
much
want
an
anybody
American
filming it and showing it
Yeah.
to be nominated for 2 Oscars and have everyone in the Academy know about that.
Yeah.
It's just, again, it feels exploitative to me.
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
guess-
you're taking the worst of people and showing it for entertainment.
thing. The whole story isn't being shown either. There could be a whole
Oh, yeah.
load of
Yeah.
things that we don't even
Yeah.
know about.
Yeah.
Which-
The thing with the rebellious son that I was getting at was he's rebelling the whole time, and then he finds Hatitse, and they just kind of bud this relationship and get along. Like, he seems to want to actually learn how to take care of bees. She shows him the right way. The whole time, like, he's with his father, he's screaming, he's saying, "Fuck you, I hate you, I don't want to talk to you." The whole time he's with Hatitse, he doesn't say a word.
He seems really respectful towards her, and I feel like his entire manner changes.
Yeah.
Like,
And
I feel like he'd be
absolutely.
more respectful to animals around her too. I think it's just the way he was brought up with his family.
It might be. But the thing that gets me the most is that they have this nice relationship. She needs someone to help her. They say that earlier in the movie because she's like, "Yeah, I don't have any sons. I wish I did."
She's like, if I had a son like you, regarding the kid that was following her around at the time,
Yeah.
then things would be different.
Yeah.
She wouldn't live there, maybe.
I think at one point she was playing with him or she was doing something and they're having a good time. But it's like, she needs him, he needs her. It's like, it's a nice thing. And then you see the boy, like, upset, throwing a fit. And then the father, like, basically takes him away and they leave and they never come back.
No.
It's like, that was kind of depressing to me. It's like, they both found someone that they need for each other. And then it gets taken away.
Yep.
You know, if that dad's complaining the whole time, honestly, Batista could have just taken the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would have been a better person for it, too.
He also had, like, 9 children? At one point he said he's like, "Oh yeah, we have a child every year."
Yeah.
Gee.
He was also rude to his wife. I want to bring that up real quick.
Yeah.
At one point, he kept, at the end of the movie, he kept calling her fat. He said, "All you do is eat, you don't do anything all day."
He kept criticizing her for, like, not taking care of the cows, when that was definitely, like, the whole family's fault
Yeah.
Mhm.
for not going out and feeding them properly, or, you know, giving them, you know, treating them with somewhat respect.
Yeah. Not to say she's not,
Responsible at all, but
because she probably could have done more. I didn't really see her do that much.
it's just he
But-
didn't really have a right to just yell at her for it. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, he yelled at the other kids too, but he didn't really give much fault to himself,
Yeah.
which bothered me.
But, and actually, we've talked about this a lot, but regarding the treatment of the cows, I'm not a farmer, and I don't, like, raise cattle, or I don't know anything about that. So, I don't really know if that's a standard or not, the way... Because I know, like, the kid throwing rocks at it, I don't know if he was just doing that to be a dickhead.
No, he was.
Because...
I live in the country. He was being an asshole.
The thing is, that was right when the cow was birthed, and then the other cow was running up to it, so I don't know if he was trying to protect, like, the baby calf.
No, because they show that in the movie. The mother licks the placenta off whenever it's born.
Yeah,
Oh.
but
It wasn't going to trample the baby or anything.
Okay.
even if it was a standard, it shouldn't be a standard.
Yeah. But just some of the things that they were doing, like the way they tie the rope around the horns and, like, yank it down. I don't know if
And
that's...
they got it with the legs in there.
What?
Yeah.
He got it with the legs in.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
literally
He
just
bought
dragging it.
Yeah, dragged it to the fucking ground.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's not standard,
No.
like, roughness.
No.
Nah.
That's why I told Mark. I didn't tell you guys because you left right afterwards. I almost had to leave the room at that part
Yeah.
because
That bothered me.
that really bothered me.
Do you think that was because they're, like, abusive or because they're, like, poor or cultural difference? Do you think that...
I don't think it's
I think, again, they're just
Kids
not
are kids.
patient.
Kids are assholes sometimes.
Mhm.
And especially in the setting this kid grew up, he was just a little shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even so, like, I think the whole family was like that because none of them are patient. They just want the results. They
Yeah.
don't care how they get
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're poor. They're trying to get what they need. So I don't think they really give much care to, like, the well-being of their stock.
Hmm.
No.
Interesting. But I think that was a solid discussion on Honeyland. There's a lot there. A documentary. And foreign film. I think it's fascinating. I really liked it personally. I thought it was disturbing and it was captivating in some kind of weird way. I would give it a 7.9 personally. What about you guys?
That was literally what I was about to give it.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Is like on the verge of being like great in some aspects.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta.
But then the more I think about it, I get aggravated. 7.5.
7.5?
Yeah.
Melanie?
I gotta say a 9.5. Sorry, guys.
What? Don't apologize. Your opinions are your opinions.
I need to apologize for having a wrong opinion.
But yeah, so I mean, you can't really compare this to Parasite.
No.
They're two different, totally different movies.
Definitely. But also think about it. We didn't talk much about the cinematography. I think you're forgetting some of the shots that they have, like the opening shots, and like everything about it was just really
It's
nice.
like Honeyland.
Yeah.
It's a very nature
Yeah,
documentary. I liked it.
Yeah,
I
very
like
Close up
beautiful.
of bees. And
I
I
mean,
don't
so
like
the
bees.
the close up of the bees was beautiful, and then the music they would cast over when she's walking along the mountain.
Yeah. Yes.
Like it was really fitting.
Yeah.
Also, I got to say though, I'm really glad I set up my surround sound for this, because whenever there were bees flying around, it actually got under my
I
skin.
felt.
Because I kept turning around like, you gotta be kidding me.
I was swatting
hate
at
bees.
nothing the whole time.
I hate bees. Like, they do wonders for
Oh,
the
me
earth.
too. I hate
But
bees.
put them near me. No, get them away.
Same. I have a fear.
Yeah, I went to the ER last time I got stung. I don't need that.
Yeah.
Hearing them right up next to me.
You gotta stay still. You gotta
See, he
chill.
stayed still and he got stung in the face.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, when that kid's crying because he didn't want to get
Oh,
stung,
yeah.
I felt that. That actually
Oh.
hurt me.
That was rough.
I hurt. Oh my god! It hurt me when that little girl or the
Oh.
that baby was walking in the house, had a bee on its neck and it got stung, just
Yeah.
minding his own business. Ah,
Oh.
that got me.
The mom just walks past the camera crew.
It's like, man, that happens. Shit.
Yeah,
happens.
I don't know. That weirded me out. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like I'd be like, hey, don't film that. Don't film my daughter.
Yeah, but I also felt like the camera crew could be like, "Yo, your child has a bee on its neck."
Yeah, they just
They just let it happen.
'Cause they
Unless
just-
they did.
No, they left it up to the sister to explain it. Because the little sister she goes, where is it? And she goes, right there. And she's the one that gets the mom. And I'm like, I mean, that's good documentary filmmaking.
Yeah.
It's just being, like, objective. Just filming
Mhm.
what's happening.
Right.
But I think there are limits.
I don't know, man.
Which I wonder if at some points they just put it on a tripod and left for times, or if they were
I
there
don't
the whole
know.
time.
That
or-
sequence they didn't. Because the camera moves, like, that whole time.
Okay, so in the documentary that I watched, the one I mentioned briefly about the refugees in, I'm pretty sure Jordan, the two guys that were making the documentary, they were helping. They were like actively helping them too, but they were like in it, and they were like talking about how like they got them food and water and stuff. I think it was just more of an artistic thing for Honeyland.
Yeah, it goes to show different types of documentaries as well.
Right.
Yeah, like, for that definitely makes sense. But, like, we watched, what was that? When the Levees Break.
Yeah, the Spike
And
Lee.
Spike Lee puts himself all over that movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Which he shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's not
It's not
his story to tell.
Right.
But then he tries to connect it to his life to seem relevant.
But I think for like Bowling for Columbine, I think it's appropriate that Michael Moore is part of it because it's
He staged a lot of the movie,
still
though.
wanna
he did stage
Which
some
is
of
a shame, but he did it. His face being in it helped the movie.
Yeah, because the movie's really about him. He narrates the whole thing. The movie's
Yeah.
about him trying to figure out. I don't know, just
And he connects it
he's
to his own
researching
life.
Columbine, figuring out gun control policies, connected
Yeah.
to his own life.
Still want to see that.
Amazing film.
Phenomenal. And going off that, I found out about... Sorry. This is like full-on 1917 tangent.
Yeah.
But I found out something the other day about Bowling for Columbine and made me respect the movie a lot less. So...
Which movie?
Bowling for
Oh.
Columbine.
Oh, okay.
You know that scene where he goes to the bank where it's like you start a new account
Yeah.
and you get the gun? He filmed at 2 separate locations. Because what
Oh.
they do is you get a gun at the gun store, but they film in the movie to make it look like he walks out of a bank with a gun.
Oh.
He was walking out of a gun store with a gun. And when I found about that, I'm like, that just breaks the power of most
Okay.
of the movie.
Yeah.
Wait.
Essentially, and there's this bank where if you sign up for a bank account, they'll
Yeah.
give you a free gun.
Yeah.
But the way they filmed it made it look like he signed up, walked out of the bank holding a gun.
The same day.
That's what I thought.
It's
because
2 weeks later at a different location.
That's a real thing?
Yeah.
What the
At
Well,
least
they
in
made it look like a real thing.
2002, whenever they
Yeah.
made the movie.
Right after Columbine.
Yeah.
But then, like, they make it look like he just walked out of the bank same day. But it was actually 2 weeks later at a different place. But they film it to make it look like that. Which is why I don't like staging. Which is why I'm weary now. Ever since I found out about Bowling for Columbine, I keep
And
thinking,
Bowling for
what are they changing?
Columbine's a documentary?
Yes. It's probably my favorite.
So it's real life.
Yes.
But it's more so like he's like a journalist investigating.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
it's a very interview-driven movie.
Yeah.
And this is okay. Obviously, this is after Columbine. So
It's about Columbine, but it's mostly about
Gun
more
control
exploring
and
gun control.
do they? I mean, I'm
national
assuming
security.
they show the tapes, like the basic
Yeah,
tapes.
They show some of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and they interview survivors,
Oh.
classmates.
Oh
It's
my god!
so-
I'm surprised I haven't seen Bowling for Columbine because when I was like
Let's watch it.
I
It's
wasn't like
perfect.
not that I was obsessed with it, but
Saw
I'm
that.
terrified of school shootings like way more than I should be. Like so terrified to the point where I looked up every single detail about Columbine at one point just because I was so scared.
Yeah.
Watch Elephant.
I should.
Well, Bowling
think
for
I'll
Columbine
go.
has the famous Marilyn Manson interview.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. I watched that too. I've seen everything in Bowling for Columbine, but I haven't seen Bowling for Columbine.
Yeah.
It's actually, I want to watch it with you.
Can we watch it tonight?
You want to?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's watch it.
Yes. Want to watch it with us?
I don't want to watch that tonight, but thank
Fuck
you.
Oh, is it gonna give me nightmares?
No,
I'm
it's
not
just it's a
sleeping
heavy
tonight.
movie. It's just a heavy movie.
I'm
Yeah.
not sleeping tonight anyway. I have NDA at 3, so.
Watch Elephant.
What's Elephant?
It's you've seen it, right?
No.
Gus Van Sant did. It's more of like a dramatized version of Columbine, but it's
Oh,
just a
so
school
it's
shooting.
about
But it's
Columbine.
inspired. No, it's inspired by it.
I-
It's not explicitly about it. It's just about a school shooting.
The
Well,
only
It's one of Tom Hanks' favorite movies.
the only Columbine
Phenomenal.
documentary that I watched was a really I'm sorry. It was a really shitty one on YouTube that like the reenactment like the actors were reenacting the events of Columbine. It was just really bad.
Yeah.
To wrap up this podcast, though, Honeyland. So obviously, totally different from Parasite. Two similar things is obviously the theme we chose international films, but also we talked about how they both deal with the class system, rich and poor, in different kind of ways. I think it's interesting to compare those things. So it was kind of interesting that we chose these two movies to pair together. Totally different, but I thought they're both fantastic.
There's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, we gave our ratings too.
Yeah.
So that's it for this week. Next week, we're going to be talking about, during the reflection section, Rise of Skywalker. And for dissection, Matt and I are choosing the theme Cinematography Oscar Snubs. And we'll be doing A Hidden Life in Midsummer. Thank you for joining. This is Kyle Licht.
And Matthew Turner.
And Melanie Higgins.
And thank you for tuning in. Check out our podcast on SoundCloud or our YouTube. That's youtube.com/Makunema Productions. And you can also go to our website, makunema.com, to see more information. Thanks and have a good one.